Hello, welcome to this tropical update for the Atlantic. So let's see what's happening. We still have this system there might form in the Gulf or in the Caribbean, and we have these two tiny systems there that have a low chance of forming. So that's the remnants of Gordon there on the right, and there's another low pressure there. But there's a bunch of wind shear and some dry air that might limit the development. But let's see. Any additional development this season is expected to be slow to occur meanders the central subtropical Atlantic during the next couple of days, so it might become an extra tropical cyclone towards Europe later, but no big tropical threat from that. There's this other system 20% chance there, so environmental is only marginally conductive for some development this system during the next couple of days, while it drifts northwestward, so only 20% chance. Nothing crazy, but let's watch maybe for some rain in Bermuda or other areas, but this is very weak, nothing. But the main guy is this one. Let's see, a broad area of low pressure could form early to middle part of next week in the southwestern Caribbean Sea. Thereafter, some gradual development of the system is possible. Tropical depression could form as the system moves slowly to the north or northwest of the Caribbean Sea, ending to the southern Gulf of Mexico through the end of next week. So 40% chance, so 0 and 40% chance there. But there's still a bunch of signs this might develop, but it's not so clear yet, because before it was showing more towards like Florida and other areas, but now it's drifting more like west. So the development area includes like the southwestern Gulf as well, so we'll be monitoring this. The Pacific, there's this area at 40% chance array, but it's in the middle of the ocean there. It might not affect anyone, but let's see. Nav low pressure could form well southwest to the southwestern coast of Mexico this weekend. Environmental conditions appear conducive for some slow development this season. A tropical depression could form by the middle part of next week, while most generally northward, so 40% chance on that, but nothing concerning. So let's see what might happen. So first, some other ones. So this, the GFS, shows those two low pressures there. They get going, they die, but it does show they getting tagged into a front and affecting Europe and some rain later, but nothing crazy. And that low pressure kind of meanders there and gets caught up on the front as well. So down there in the Caribbean, we have like, it shows one system forming the Eastern Pacific by the 25th, and the one starting to organize in the Caribbean by like the 25th, 26th. Then it struggles a little bit, but finally forms north of the Yucatan, according to the GFS, and then goes towards Louisiana, Mississippi there, and Alabama. So the GFS might be exaggerating on this strength, but we never know. And kind of goes there. So this is the 60, the 0Z GFS had like, had also something trying to form on the Pacific there, and especially those very heavy rains there, Central America, and then it formed on the Pacific and went towards like southern Mexico, so by the 27th, so Mexico has to watch out. But it did form the one in the Atlantic, the 0Z, and then it went towards Mississippi and Alabama once again. So I guess we'll see, and let's just see the 12Z from yesterday to see if it had anything. So it had like the moisture organizing there, but the 12Z from yesterday went into Florida there, right to central Florida there. That would be like a very crazy, dangerous scenario, but I don't think it will happen. So then you also had something in Mexico there on the Eastern Pacific, so we'll keep monitoring this, but no big signs as of now. The European 0Z had like a lot of rain there, and then let's see, this by the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, by the 25th, a lot of rain there. So a system could be organized on the Pacific by the 25th and go away there. Then didn't develop this until you got like to the Gulf of Mexico, but not even there, like keeps it very broad and weak. So the European keeps it like very weak there, something broad, but we never know. The 12Z from yesterday showed like, let's see, the rain there and everything from the gyre, and then it kept going. Then it tried to form something weak on the 25th there and went towards the southwestern Gulf. Then the 12Z from yesterday actually turned this into a storm, tropical storm there in the Gulf of Mexico. So we have to watch this, but nothing crazy as of now. The icon is also kind of weak, it shows like something gradually forming there, and it also goes towards like the southwestern Gulf, but very weak. The Navgen has like the moisture there, something on the Pacific, it shows forming, and heading towards Mexico, just like the GFS. So, and it tries to form something on the southwestern Gulf as well, the Navgen. And the Canadian has like something there on the Pacific trying to form, affecting Guatemala and Mexico a lot, and another feature near western Mexico. Then it forms this by the 25th on the southwestern Gulf, but kind of gets stretched out, kind of like a front, and then goes towards Mississippi and Alabama there. So this is a crazy scenario, but we never know. And the Canadian from yesterday, the 12Z, had something organized in the Caribbean there, turning into a storm, and then going like as a hurricane towards Louisiana again. So this is the Canadian from yesterday. So we'll keep monitoring this, but nothing crazy for now. Let's see. There's this model here, like it's short range, but yeah, I don't think it'll show anything that crazy. So let's see the 22nd, 25th. So on the 27th, this model kind of shows some lower pressures in the Gulf there, but yeah, like the other models too. So be aware those areas. And the ensembles, we have these ensembles here, the European, most of them goes like towards the north into Florida and Alabama there and Louisiana. So this, some members have it stronger and some weaker, but there's not much support. The GFS here shows like a little more support, and half of the GFS members goes towards south and western Florida, and half goes towards Louisiana, Mississippi, and northern Florida. So we'll keep monitoring this, and let's see. But these other ensembles here, like 240 hours, shows like the European has a lot of support for a weak system there, like tropical depression over the Yucatan or something, and some members goes as a storm or hurricane towards Florida, and maybe like into Mississippi and Alabama, not areas. Then it has more more support in the southwestern Gulf for low pressure to form there. So I would keep an eye out in the Gulf there. And then the GFS has a lot of support too, but most of it goes like towards Florida or Mississippi there, like I showed you in the other place there. And then some goes towards Texas too, but Mexico, but mainly towards Florida the GFS is showing. And then it has on the Pacific side as well. So be aware. And let's see, now we have this other system might form near Africa there. The European has a lot of support for this to become at least a depression there. So this is the European, and the GFS also has a lot of support, like a bunch of members showing this turn into a depression, even a hurricane down the road there. So we are still with a lot of confidence something might form there in the Eastern Atlantic, maybe affect the Cabo Verde, should keep an eye out. The Caribbean, I don't think so, you might head north, but we might have to keep an eye out too. So the tropical depression probabilities from the European, there's those two small systems that will die out, but impressively the Gordon one is at 100% chance, but it won't farm, so ignore that. And in there in Central America, there are a bunch of probabilities there, like all the way to 70% by the 25th, and all the way to an 80% there in the Northwestern Caribbean. So then it keeps at a 60-70% as it crosses the Yucatan, and goes as a 60% tropical depression probabilities into the southwestern Gulf there, and kind of lingers there, the southwestern Gulf. Then there's the other season, the Atlantic. By the 24th, already like a 50% chance there of tropical depression. But by the 25th, it's like over Africa, most of the probabilities. That's the weird part. But let's see, but by the 26th, already show like 100% tropical depression probabilities there, just east of the Cabo Verde. By the 27th, still 90 to 100% chance of tropical depression on the Cabo Verde there, forming there. So that's a very high probability, but the dynamics there and everything are kind of weird. So there's not much certainty if this will form or not. But by the 28th, still some areas of 100% chance there over the Cabo Verde. By the 29th, still like some 70% chance of tropical depression. Then this keeps going there. So be aware in the Cabo Verde, but the Caribbean is like safe from this one, I think. Tropical storm probabilities. We start getting on the Eastern Pacific, some tropical storm probabilities near Mexico, and it grows to like 30% chance near Mexico there. Tropical storm by the 25th and 5% in the Caribbean by the 25th, and then it grows to like 50% on the Eastern Pacific and like 20% chance there on the Yucatan. Then it keeps going to a 30% chance of a tropical storm on the Yucatan, then like to a 40% chance by the 28th on the southwestern Gulf, remains at a 40% chance there through the Gulf. And the other system in Africa show like a 5% chance by the 27th on the Cabo Verde of a tropical storm, a 40% by the 28th there, and remains a 40% chance of a tropical storm there. So be aware. And a hurricane probabilities, still nothing, but let's see, 25th, still nothing, 26th, 27th, only on the Eastern Pacific, and some 5% hurricane probabilities. 29th, we get some 5% towards Florida, some hurricane probabilities, but that's very low. And by the 30th, some more hurricane probabilities in the Gulf. It goes all the way to like 10%, 10-20% chance there in the Gulf. By October 1st, the hurricane probabilities. So we'll keep watching that. This is the tropical storm strike probabilities, tropical cyclone, like tropical depression strike probabilities. It's almost to 100% in the Cabo Verde of a tropical depression striking. It's at a 60% chance in the Gulf there and 70% chance in the southern coast of Mexico and Guatemala. So you should really watch there in Mexico and Guatemala for the system on the Pacific and on the Cabo Verde. So this is this week all the way to the 30th. And the first week of October still shows some general probabilities, mainly there, and we might have some more stuff later. So this is tropical depression probabilities, tropical storm strike, only some 10% there in the Gulf, and 5%, and like a 40% chance there on the Atlantic of tropical storm strike. Hurricane strike probabilities still doesn't show any hurricane strike probabilities. So be aware. And now, but the main threat in my opinion is the heavy rain. So it shows like in the next 24 hours the GFS has already more rain there in Honduras, Nicaragua, and more for Guatemala and El Salvador, and especially Mexico. So let's say this 24 hours, next 45 hours shows even more scattered around Central America there. Next 120 hours, like until the 25th, has some parts of Nicaragua, northwestern Costa Rica, all the way to like some like 10 to 12 inches there. We will check that in millimeters in the other side. So be aware, there'll be a lot of heavy storms and maybe some flooding from this system in those areas. Now the European model has like, let's see, until the 25th has like some 3 to 5 inches there in Honduras and El Salvador, or even more in Nicaragua. There's a lot around Mexico, the Yucatan, even the Cayman Islands and Jamaica might have some periods of heavy rain from this and a flood threat. It doesn't have much in the Cabo Verde, only after this leaves there, but be aware in the Cabo Verde as well. And if we put the GFS again, let's see, it shows more in the Cabo Verde there from that system. There's the Canadian model. Let's see if it has, yes. So the Canadian model has like more than 11 inches there in the coast of Guatemala, more than 12 inches like in northern Guatemala into Mexico, some like 5-6 inches there in the Yucatan, and a lot in Costa Rica too, and Cuba. So especially the Cayman Islands shows heavier there as well, so be careful. This system will cause a lot of dangerous rainfall. So let's see, here's the icon. It shows the main threat around Guatemala and El Salvador there in Nicaragua. Might be a big flood threat there on the Pacific side, so please be careful there. Has in the Cabo Verde as well from that system. So yeah, and I didn't show you like some model runs for this Pacific system. Pacific, no, like the main development region. So let's see. Is the GFS has like this storm coming off of Africa and forming there, maybe into a hurricane, like a tropical storm, and then curving out there as a tropical storm or a hurricane. So this is the GFS. The European has like, wait, he has something trying to come off there, a little bit stronger, passes over the Cabo Verde and turns into a depression or a storm there, but very weak. It's showing the icon shows like that system passes there, might become something, but the icon's not really confident. The Nevgen has like, wait, has something trying to form there, but at a higher latitude, and that high latitude will be kind of weird. So the Canadian has something coming off there, trying to become a depression or something, but very weak as well. So we'll keep monitoring this, but just focus on staying safe from the heavy rains from this gyre system there. So in the next 5 days, the European has like 300 millimeters in southern Honduras, like 314 millimeters in El Salvador, 200 millimeters, like 247 millimeters. Let's see, 300 millimeters in northwestern Nicaragua. All of western Nicaragua get pounded very heavy from this with the storms. Guatemala on the Pacific side might be heavier, might be some areas of flooding. Belize shows like all the way to 100 millimeters already next 5 days in Belize. And let's see in the Yucatan all the way to 100 millimeters as well. In Jamaica shows a little bit less, but might have some areas of heavy rain around the Cayman Islands as well, like especially in the Cayman Islands, close to 78 millimeters, so might be a small flood threat there with the heavier storms. In Costa Rica showing a lot throughout the whole country, like 180 millimeters, 100 millimeters, so be careful there. Might be some heavy rain these next few days and weeks, and a lot in northern Panama as well, in other areas. So be aware. Has some more showers and storms passing by the Caribbean, like 50 millimeters, but nothing crazy. Just be aware, like to doing showers and storms. Might be some flood watches for low-lying areas, but nothing crazy. Just some showers and storms. And Dominican Republic might have some more storms, and Haiti. Be aware, especially Cuba, some more afternoon storms and some more showers and storms throughout many areas. More showers in the Bahamas, some passing thunderstorms, so be aware. Southern Mexico shows a lot on the Pacific side, let's see, but especially on the Gulf side shows more than 100 millimeters near Guatemala as well, so be aware in Southern Mexico. And let's see here, these next 5 days, if I go back to next 3 days, it shows way less, of course, because 3 days is less than 5 days, but on the next 3 days it already has more than 100 millimeters in Nicaragua and a lot in Honduras already there, so be aware. And has a lot in Costa Rica already too. So this is until the 25th, next 5 days. The GFS has those crazy amounts in El Salvador and in Guatemala, more than 300 millimeters there in Guatemala and El Salvador. And then it has like 200 millimeters in Nicaragua, 200, almost 200 in southern Honduras, like 180. It has a lot in Costa Rica and Panama, like on the Pacific side there, more than 250 millimeters, 210 millimeters in Costa Rica. So be aware. And it has a big moisture area near the Caribbean, like near San Andreas, more than 100 millimeters, just south of the Cayman Islands, and some more storms in the Dominican Republic and other areas. So please be careful. The icon has next 5 days. in parts of Guatemala, more than 400 millimeters in Guatemala, according to the icon, 300 millimeters, 200 in southern Mexico. In El Salvador, more than 200 millimeters in a big area of El Salvador, 190 millimeters. Southern Honduras, almost 200 as well. So please stay safe there. It shows a lot of rain near Belize too, especially on the coast there, and on the Yucatan as well. So be careful in those areas and stay safe, please. So let's see, they might put another area of investigation for the system near Africa soon, but they still don't have anything. And let's see here the European again. So he does show still some dry air there near Africa, but shows that moisture coming, kind of replacing that dry air, but still some dry air there. The Caribbean, still some dry air, but as that dry air gets going there, shows a bunch of moisture there as that system forms, so be aware. And wind, the wind shear still shows high where Gordon is, and on the remnants because it's dead, but it shows still some high wind shear in the Gulf by the 20th because of a trough there. Then it keeps going, like some high wind shear in the Caribbean on the 22nd, but the gyre starts forming around Central America where the wind shear will be lower there. So we'll keep monitoring this and stay safe. So let's see here. Let's just say some special stuff in like Spanish for the people in Central America. So, hola, ¿qué tal? Entonces, a estos sistemas tropicales formando que van a dejar lluvia muy fuerte en América Central y México estos días, principalmente en Nicaragua y Honduras, muestra más de 200 milímetros de lluvia en los próximos 5 días, entonces muchas precauciones, puede haber inundaciones cerca de Guatemala, de Honduras, tormentas fuertes en Nicaragua y más lluvia y tormenta en Belice y el Yucatán también. Más lluvia fuerte en Costa Rica, Panamá, pero va a ser peor como en Honduras, en Guatemala, principalmente en Guatemala, muestra muchísimo y El Salvador. Hay modelos diferentes que muestran más en Guatemala, sí, y hay otros que muestran más en Honduras. Entonces va a haber muchas lluvias fuertes ahí estos días, también en sistemas cerca de México, y tenemos algunas indicaciones que se puede formar alguna cosa en el Pacífico, intentar ir hacia México, pero son indicaciones muy pequeñas, aún no sabemos, pero por ejemplo, a este modelo que muestra aquí, alguna cosa se formando cerca de México y como en la parte sur de México y Guatemala, podéis ver mejor aquí, creo, con este modelo diferente. Entonces muestra toda esta lluvia fuerte, estas tormentas y todo, y muestra estos sistemas formando así, que puede ir toda esta lluvia fuerte en América Central a partir del 24, así, ya hay lluvia fuerte, y muestra esta tormenta tropical formando hacia el sur de México en el 27, así, pero aún no sabemos, y hay una probabilidad muy baja que pase esto. Pero las lluvias fuertes es seguro que habrá mucho. Precauciones. Okay, good. So I prefer to say it like that, so everyone stay safe. So let's just say something for the Cabo Verde as well. Oi, estamos monitorando um sistema tropical que pode afetar as ilhas Cabo Verde essa próxima semana. Pode ser uma depressão tropical, até tempestade assim, mas mais provável que forme depois que passe pelas ilhas. Tipo, esse modelo meteorológico mostra essas ondas de chuva vindo da África e passando tipo por cima das ilhas Cabo Verde no dia 26, 27. Então, precauções durante esses dias. Good. So now, let's see if there's something else. And this mainly it. So, in terms of wind, nothing crazy. We might have some gusty winds on the Pacific, near some parts of the Caribbean, but until this system forms, nothing very crazy. So please be careful there. We are still monitoring the systems there, and stay safe from the heavy rains and everything.